No, this is Tita May. Tita May. Well, she's technically my cousin.
No, you're my pamangkin.
Hindi halata.
Yeah,
Yes.
because, I'm so young.
Yeah, she's actually 20 years old.
Yeah.
As a missionary's kid, did you ever feel like that was normal? Being a missionary's kid, traveling everywhere in the States.
You know what? In fact, I thought, of course, I had no point of comparison
Mhm.
except for like my classmates.
Yeah.
Diba?
Oh.
Because before I was homeschooled,
Yeah.
I was in a real like school where we go to school and do the thing.
Yeah.
But going back to normal, I think it was normal because growing up in our family, we like my uncles, my dad, your lolo and my dad's older siblings were also missionaries, and somehow, even though the age gap was very big, I knew that they were also missionaries and traveling. So in a way, yes, but also in a way, no, because at a young age, I thought it was normal. But growing up, like slowly, I was like realizing, hindi naman pala normal. Like not everyone does this thing that you get in the car, you travel, you visit like different churches and meet different people. So it wasn't as normal as I thought it was.
Yeah, I remember whenever my family would go to like California, for example, there's a lot of Filipino churches there.
Yeah.
And we were there for just a short amount of time because we
Right.
would go to like different states, right?
Right.
So for one Sunday, we would go to 6 churches. Pinagkakasya namin
Iba yung
6.
energy ng tatay mo. Kala ko yung tatlong church, madami na yun.
Oh my goodness. 6 churches
Yes.
kami. Like one in 8, 9,
Nine?
10.
O, diba? Iba yung energy ng tatay mo. Yung tatay ko, energetic din siya. Pero 3 max.
Yeah.
Morning, afternoon,
Grabe.
gospel hour.
Grabe
Oo.
talaga. So, that type of stuff is, that was already like my training. Ganun.
Right.
You won't meet anybody who goes to church 6 times a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 6 times every week, right?
Yeah.
Or even 3 times
May
every
Wednesday
week.
pa.
Oh,
Wednesday,
yes.
if there's Wednesday prayer meeting or Thursday prayer meeting,
Yeah.
and then there's like senior citizen fellowship on Saturday or family barbecue
Kahit hindi
Saturday.
ka senior citizen, nandun
Kahit
ka.
ako senior citizen, nandun ako dahil anak ako ng pastor.
So, you were never absent, right?
Hindi, bawal.
Bawal talaga.
Nilalagnat ka, girl.
Oo.
By Jessica lang yan.
Dun ka siya sa Sunday school.
Oo.
Lagnatin.
Yes.
Exactly. Were you ever mad that you had to go to church kahit nilalagnat ka or may sakit ka or something?
I don't think I was ever mad, but I was sad a few times because, because you're there, na parang, can I just, like, do I have to sing?
Yeah.
I'm burning right
Yes,
now.
exactly. Like you don't even, not even just attending. You actually
you
have to
participate.
Participate. That's a whole different story,
Yes.
right? What were you
Yes.
doing when you were participating in a church?
So, again, visiting the different churches, syempre, di ba, you're also expected to interact with people. You're supposed to interact with other children. You're supposed to sing.
Yeah.
Your family, your dad calls you up on stage, you sing. Track B. Tape pa nun eh. Sorry.
Oh,
Hindi pa CD. Medyo teenager na ako na uso yung CD. So, basically, you just had to really be present.
yeah.
So, even if you didn't feel like it, because the mission nga was very clear. Like, we're not doing this for ourselves. We're here because we are trying to meet people, tell people what we're doing, so that
Yeah.
they would also see ministry outside of their home church, like
Yeah.
other churches that, or the other places that you've been to.
Was that the meaning of being a pastor's kid to you? Showing up like, oh, as a pastor's kid, I just have to be obedient to my dad and do what they want me to do.
That's an interesting question. And
Yeah.
of course, I've had time to think about that. But being a pastor's kid, number one, is such a tall order to have on such a young person because of the expectations set for a pastor's kid. Now, in this time and age, I think people have changed and perspectives and all that. I think people now are more understanding, because when I was growing up, it was like, I could not even talk to a boy without people judging me na parang, this girl is too malapit sa mga lalaki and all that. So growing up in the States was one thing. Coming to the Philippines was another thing. So growing up in the States as a pastor's kid, you medyo okay pa. But of course there was like restrictions, like attire wise, like we weren't allowed because we belonged to a very conservative like Christian church. So pants was not a thing. Watching movies was not a thing.
Even like cinema.
Yeah, cinema, because it was considered as the place where the sinful would hang out.
Cinema. The cinema.
Basta madilim. Bad yun. Yun. So, I remember, so it was hard because young people my age, teenagers, diba? Of course, as a teenager, you want to also express yourself outfit-wise, hair color-wise, nail color-wise, makeup-wise. I mean, those were the kind of things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But you were kind of restricted.
Yeah.
And then coming here to the Philippines, mas strict pa pala, diba?
Yes.
Mas strict pa.
Sobra.
But there were a lot of good things also about being a pastor's kid because I saw firsthand, and it's not just, pastor's kid, but I saw firsthand how, my family was blessed, or how people around the community, not blessed with like money lang hindi yun, but like blessed, like be encouraged. And you had that privilege to share that moment with people and to share that moment with your family. So I think that also strengthened how I had walked in faith, and how that also strengthened me. Of course, there was like a lot of disappointments too, diba? Especially when you were judged for things na parang, get a life. Parang But in the end of it all, parang the privilege of being a pastor's kid.
The favor.
Yeah. So parang yung privilege talaga, I think, yun yung minsan mahirap tanggapin, that privilege is also a good thing, because sometimes it's also not, diba?
But when did you realize that you actually had the privilege of being a pastor's kid? Because I never saw the privilege of being, I thought it was like torment.
Yes.
Until now, like ngayon ko lang na realize na, oh wow, it's actually such a privilege to have pastors as your family in in the ministry. When did you realize that?
I realized that siguro mga teenager na ako later on. Kasi nga as a kid, parang you were just going with the flow kasi yung gusto ng parents mo, and you're there and you understood, but then you didn't really have a choice, diba?
Yeah.
But growing up, I was like, oh, especially when my dad died, parang okay. When my dad died, syempre when things changed na rin, diba? So parang okay. So you see the privilege, and it was more pronounced than ever. But then, yun na nga, growing up, para kang nasa fishbowl. Alam mo yung goldfish?
Yeah. Dami
titingnan ka lang, dami nanonood sa'yo, pero wala kang magawa. Ikot-ikot ka lang doon. Kasi, kung tumalon ka, masyadong attention calling. Diba? So, yun yung the other side of the coin.
What kind of privilege are you talking about besides knowing a lot about the word and having that support system that Christians, and that's just priceless, right? But what else is like the privilege for you? What kind of privilege is it?
Having the space to, basically, because you're a pastor's kid, parang the respect for your family. So having that respect for your family also entails responsibility.
Right.
So that kind of like privilege.
Right.
So my mom, when my dad died, she also did not want us to grow up privileged and entitled. So so parang you have to understand, your dad died, you're a pastor's kid, and you'll forever be a pastor's kid even if your dad has passed. But you have to understand that means you have the responsibility. You're responsible for your, lalo na yung parang your image. What is that? Another word for image. Not testimony. There's a word that if it comes to me.
Your character.
Character there.
Integrity.
Yeah, your integrity. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. So parang the integrity, you have to take care of it. because again, people around you aren't all Christians.
Yeah.
So as much as possible, you don't want to be that person na, Christian yan, kaya ganyan. Or, kaya judger yan, kasi Christian yan.
Ay, nako. That's the worst.
Diba?
But
So,
that's true, though, because there's a lot of Christians or people from the church,
Yeah.
church who are very judgmental.
right.
And that's where my church hurt came from. I got
Mhm.
church hurt because of, you know, ang dami kong criticism from church members. As a pastor's kid, right? It was hard for me to, like, know the difference of living my life for God and living my life for the people at church.
Right.
Because the people at
Two different
church
things.
are two different things, but like my dad cares so much about the church because he started these churches and they have all these ministries. So I'm correlating the people at church to like impressing God. I don't know, something like that. So I just got a church hurt thing, and then obviously like I rebelled
Mhm.
against everything, and I was just like, I condemned the Lord from my life. I didn't believe in God at a certain point because I was just so mad, you know. But pastors' kids are known to rebel, be the crazy ones, to be the rebellious ones.
I also had my,
Did you have that phase?
Yeah, I had my phase too. I mean, I'm not gonna come here and be like, no, I'm like good all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also had that. And I think, but yeah, go continue. And then
No,
I'll-
you know, I want to hear yours.
Okay. But what I'm saying is that sometimes the Lord needs to humble you in order for you, again, yung privilege nga, di ba?
Right.
Kasi you feel like, anak naman ako ng Diyos. He's gonna forgive me. What's one
yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
What's one sin and another sin? Saved naman ako.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hindi naman mawawala yung salvation ko.
Gets.
You get it? So, pwede ka kasing tumanggap sa Diyos.
Yeah.
You could have Jesus in your heart. But, because you have free will, diba, you can turn another way.
Yeah.
Kaya merong sinasabi na parang yung turning your back from God, parang God never turns his back on anybody. It's just that sometimes we've pushed him away so far away that it's hard to come back until you are humbled.
That's so true.
So, I also have had my own share, especially when, yun na nga, my dad died unexpectedly. Parang what's now? You know, what am I gonna do? So, there are things that I'm not proud of as well that I did in the past.
Yeah.
You know, like smoking, you know, the things like, you know, feeling mo cool or
Literally.
cool.
Yeah, ganun nga din ginagawa ko nun.
Pero just to fit in kasi nga you didn't have a normal life eh.
Yeah.
Parang yung ganito pala maging teenager,
I
ganito
know.
palang lumabas, ganito pala magsine, ganito palang mag-hang out sa lugar na hindi mo usually pinupuntahan. So, that also, you know, and then you know what? Yung mga kasama ko dun in college, Christians na rin sila ngayon, di ba?
Wow.
So, their life have also turned around.
Yeah.
So, ito yung sinasabi ko nga na parang as a pastor's kid, sometimes you do bad things, but that doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah.
Sometimes because of your human self, you do things that's not glorifying God, but he brings you back.
Yeah.
You know, there comes a point in your life that you're down on your bended knees and just, Lord, I need you in my life.
Yeah. My parents raised me from, you know, the Bible, how the Bible teaches, whatever. So obviously bawal manigarilyo, like, you know, uminom, maging lasing, you know, stuff like that. I feel like my childhood was so wholesome and so like so perfect, you know?
Disney princess
so
ka, girl.
Sobra, parang, exactly, like, das nung teenager ako, parang nagkaroon ako ng identity crisis. Because I thought everyone in the world was like Christian. Di ba? Tapos, pagpasok ko sa college, parang hindi ako nahanda. Hindi ako nahanda.
Culture shock ka, girl.
Yes, because, for context, kindergarten, elementary, high school doon kami sa sa
tapos
school ng lola
ka pa,
ko.
di ba?
Homeschool
ka pa. Oh.
Yung school ng lola ko, private school, tapos Baptist.
Sobrang conservative, di ba?
Exactly. We read the Bible every day. Like, may prayers sa lahat ng klase. So, when I hit college, after class, everyone just went to the bars and may yosihan, tapos dami nagmumura, ang daming, sabi ko, what's happening?
At saka you need to fit in, parang ganon, di ba?
Exactly. And I never wanted people to know that I was a pastor's kid because that's just embarrassing. Parang na-embarrass ako noon.
Okay.
Because I just feel like people thought of that as like so
taboo
boring.
thing.
I know.
Pastor,
Anak ko ng pastor.
Oo.
Oo. Like you're
Totoo
not
ba to?
fun. Oo nga, exactly. Apparently, there's not a lot of pastors kids around. Di ba?
Yeah.
Actually, wala talaga ako masyadong kilalang anak ng pastor. So,
doon sa school mo, di ba?
Exactly. Pero siguro sa school mo. Marami
hindi rin.
sa Fibia. Or saan ka ba nag-aral? Hindi.
Same school where I teach now.
Oh, sa Miriam. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Alam ko sa Miriam talaga. May mga kilala ko Miriam eh.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Was there ever a time in your life where you were kind of ashamed being a pastor's kid, especially going to Miriam College?
Alam mo, honestly, wala. Wala akong ma-recall na kinahiya ko na anak ako ng pastor. Although, minsan, parang, kasi nga, our last name, di ba, our last name, meron akong mga teachers na, for example, meron akong naging science teacher, best friend niya pala si lola mo nung college sila. So, there was no escaping, gets? Kasi pagka yung babasahin nila yung pangalan mo, how are you relate? Ganun agad yung question. So, parang, in a way, hindi ko siya pwedeng itago kasi block section kami. So, alam ng tao. And then when they tell you, paano ko nakarating dito sa Pilipinas? Kasi galing akong States noon eh. So, basically, I have to tell my story, right? So, wala akong ma-recall na kinahiya akong naging anak ng pastor. Although, merong time na I wasn't so vocal about like, born again Christian ako.
Yeah.
I wasn't so vocal because I didn't wanna be judged because the school that I went to is not, of the same faith. But you know what? I found out kasi there was a teacher, sabi niya, can you lead us in prayer? Tapos sabi ko, I'm sorry but I don't do the Catholic prayer. So I said, no, this is Miriam, you can pray the whatever prayer comfortable praying. Tapos parang, wow, ganun pala. Hindi naman pala lahat ng like Catholic school. So like very, very conservative. So I was free to pray the way I prayed.
Yeah.
So I wasn't judged for it.
Right.
So yun yung example na parang, tapos meron pa isa, di ba pinsan ka ni Ruel Tica? Kasama ko yun sa sa at UP Madrigal. So sabi, so kumakanta ka rin. So yung assumption. So I was I became part of like the Glee Club ganyan. So things like that. But what am I trying to say? Again, going back to your question, did I ever
feel ashamed?
Parang wala akong ma-recall that I was ashamed of being a Christian. Although there were like times para down low yung pagiging born again Christian.
Do you ever like feel that your past growing up, did that shape your career right now as a advocate for females?
Actually,
for women?
In a way, yes and no. Yes, because I think what I'm doing is also a mission. So, talking about women's rights, talking about peace, education, that's also a mission, right? So, I guess that's subconsciously as a missionary, having that background, parang yung clear sense of what your mission is in life, like what's your purpose. I think that was shaped by it. So, kaya yes and no. I believe in women empowerment. I believe that women should have space in church. They're not just like helpers in the background, but really they contribute to the ministry. They contribute to the community, the community of the church. So of course there are more traditional churches that look at women as just the helper, people in the background, maybe doing things that are invisible to the eye. But what I believe in is that each person is gifted by God. They have their own talents. People are given talents, and I think to not be able to use your talent is a sin. Kasi kaya ka nga binigyan ng talento, di ba? Kasi to use it for the ministry, to use it to talk about God or to minister, not like talk like verbally, like talk, but in everything that you do, basically. So connecting it to women's empowerment, I think more recognition for women in church. Need. I mean, there's that need for recognition na hindi lang sila the people in the background.
Yeah, because I know that because you and I feel like we've been to a lot of different churches na iba-iba yung rules.
Yeah.
There was one time my family literally we were told to stop singing in front of everybody in the congregation. We were on stage. I was like, I don't know, 5 years old. We were singing like a gospel song or whatever, and apparently that church they don't sing those songs in that church.
Right. I've been to a church like that.
There's a lot of those. So they're very traditional, very like, but I mean, it's not, that's what they believe in, and that's fine. We respect it. But the fact that they stopped us in the middle of us singing, oh my goodness, I will never forget that day. Yung lola ko, dapat, di ba, dati, or hanggang ngayon, you have to wear a skirt every Sunday. And our church, my dad's church, you don't even have to wear, like, you can wear shorts to church because come as you are,
Right, that's true.
It's just really different, and I feel like, pastors in different churches, they just have their different, niche.
Right. But I get that. But there, yun na nga, yung churches, parang their modesty is really at the top priority, wherein you have other churches who are like, no, if you are discouraged just because you feel like you can't come to God because of how you look, then you come to God the way you are, diba? So,
and I feel like modesty, it will like come to you naturally,
right?
Because
it can't be forced.
Exactly. Before, I feel like modesty was forced into me, so nagwala ako. So I really went like naked everywhere, right? So, and this was when I was I was rebelling, right? So I realized recently na, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have done that. I really shouldn't have done that. Like, I hate that people saw that, but this is when I got saved because I really didn't care, right? So when I first got saved, which was like actually like
saved,
I really love God. I'm on fire for Jesus, not lukewarm, I was still dressing like a little bit, revealing, but that was just normal to me. That was my normal, right? And then when I was growing more as a Christian, reading more in the Word, I realized that wow, modesty is actually so beautiful.
Yeah,
like
it comes to you naturally.
Exactly, and it has to come to you naturally. You can't be forced into it.
Exactly. Because if it's forced, then it's not genuine.
Yeah.
Same thing with Christianity, diba? If it's forced on you, it's not genuine. It's just lip service. It's just for show.
And that's pastor's kid life.
Yeah, diba?
Right?
For the longest time, diba?
Yeah.
I'm just here because I have to be here.
Did you ever have that issue with clothing too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, again, when I moved to the Philippines, because here in the Philippines, it was like at the Malabon, right? Because when my dad died, my church became Malabon. So I remember I was part of the choir. We couldn't even wear like sandals, nakita yung toes.
Exactly.
Kailangan closed shoes.
Exactly.
Like I could not even go to church with like red nail polish. And in the States, it's not a big deal, diba? Your grandma would be like, your nails are too red. Auntie Holly.
Yo, she's very impressive though. She's never worn makeup in her life.
Yep, never.
Even in her wedding.
Her perfume has always been the same perfume.
The same clothes.
Yeah, everything. Same haircut. Yeah.
Never changed.
So she's consistent. Like when you hear the word consistency, that's Auntie
her.
Holly.
Exactly.
But but again, like where was I, what was I thinking? What was I saying? Again, clothing wise. Of course I had my I wanted to express myself, hair color.
Yeah. Did you ever color your hair?
I colored my hair. I had like red hair, purple hair for a
Oh,
time.
when? In the States?
Here in the Philippines.
Oh, but when was this? Like when you were a teenager? You were college?
Na.
Oh.
But my purple was not like
Halata.
tingkad
Very
purple.
bright.
It was more like purple when you go in the sun thing.
I see. Yeah.
But red, yes. I had like red, cherry red.
Oh, that's nice.
And then so that I could get away with it, I got like highlights sa ilalim para lang masabi ko nagkulay ako ng buhok ng radikal.
Oh.
Tinago ko. Yes, may red.
Oh, that's so
diba?
true. Yeah.
So, I mean, and then I remember I got my belly button pierced.
Oh, really? Did it hurt?
Yeah, I hurt. And then I got, feeling ko rebellious na yun. Nagpa-piercing ako dito.
Yeah,
feeling ko rebellious na yun.
Yes.
And then I also had a grandfather who was equally strict. So even when my dad died, I still had my lolo who was like very strict. Yun talaga, bawal kang mag-shorts.
Yeah.
Like kung kita yung tuhod mo, naka-shorts ka, nakatayo lagot ka. Hindi ka makakalabas ng bahay. Or, so
Pantalon.
our style, so that we could go out of the house wearing shorts or pants, maglo-long skirt kami.
Yep.
Pagdating sa sasakyan, tatanggalin namin yung long skirt, nakapantalon kami.
Same.
Diba? So yun yung mga technique. So, halimbawa, bawal mag-sleeveless, yung ganito. It's an abomination. Yeah. So, so sleeveless. But then, syempre, you are, parang teenager, diba? Parang,
hindi mo maintindihan bakit bawal eh.
Oo. Bakit bawal? Hindi naman siya bastos. Parang, why?
Hindi ko naman pakay maging bastos.
Oo. It's just, I want to wear sleeveless.
I think it's cute.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I just think it's cute.
But then, yun na nga, di ba?
Yeah. So, if you had a daughter, would you give her the same, like, treatment with her clothing?
For me, as long as it doesn't, for example, di man naked, like naked.
Oo nga. Yung tulad ko.
Di man naked, pero I would give her more liberty to choose her clothes, di ba? Na parang, even Mikael as a boy, you know, kung ito yung damit na komportable, as long as it's not like, alam mo yun, offensive. I mean, like,
too much.
May malaking cuss word, or alam mo yung things like that. Yeah. So, I mean, go for it.
Yeah.
Diba?
May pinagsisisihan ka ba dati na as a pastor's kid, right? Parang you wish that you did that but you weren't allowed to do it, and how is it affecting you?
Oh, I wish I had pursued feeling artista ka, girl. But I wish I pursued like life. Kasi I was so scared na parang kasi I was doing VTRs already.
What's that?
VTR, like for commercials, for
auditions.
Like auditions, ganyan.
Yes.
So I was kind of doing it already.
Yeah.
But then I was so scared.
Why?
Na parang, kasi di ba yung dati, pagka artista, living in the, wilderness.
Showbiz.
Living in the,
Gets kita. Yeah.
So parang, parang, I wish, meron naman palang mga Christians. Pwedeng gumawa nun, or pwede kang to do things outside. Kasi again, our concept before of like having a ministry was bound by the four walls of the church.
Yeah.
Are either Sunday school teacher ka, choir, nagtuturo ka sa choir, or kumakanta ka sa choir, nagpe-play ka ng music, kumakanta. Or, something within the confines of the church. But then I realized growing up na going out, listening to people's problems, talking to them, is also
it's
a
evangelism.
Ministry. Diba? Meeting people where they are is also a ministry.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Talking to people, meeting people where they are, at saka, the third one is like living as Christ would want us to live outside, so that when people see you, oo nga, kaya ka pala ganyan kasi Christian ka. Or, di ba, sometimes you have those comments, kaya ka ganyan, pastor's kid ka, parang ganon. So, I think that's also a ministry, having the testimony live.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily say, oh, I love Jesus so much.
Weirdo.
Di ba yung parang may bago ka na meet, di ba? Kakwentuhan mo lang siya. Kakwentuhan lang kayo. Di mo na say, girl, I love Jesus. Like,
ilang years ka na Christian? Since birth, no?
no, di ba? Yung ganon.
Since birth. So, do you think that like being a Christian since birth, born into the church, like, do you feel like ang dami mong alam? Like, ang dami, sobrang close mo kay Lord kasi since birth ka.
Hindi. Hindi. Sorry. Do not be entitled again.
Yeah.
You may have some privileges, but girl, you the same as everyone.
Exactly.
Your sin is the same as my sin.
Yeah, I know. I realize now that even when I was far away from the Lord was still protecting me.
Yeah, exactly.
The Lord was still in my life and he was keeping me safe. And honestly, I don't know where I would be if I wasn't born into a Christian family. The people who prayed for me, like, alam mo yung pinaka nagpe-pray sa akin, hulaan mo.
Lola mo.
Exactly. It's usually the grandmothers who pray a lot for their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And grabe, actually, let me tell you a funny story. The reason why I was saved again, that same time, my sister was fasting for me.
Whoa!
Yes, girl. So, the week na...
She was in college, but that was her last year of college.
No, I think so.
Diba?
Yeah. She was fasting for me. So, the week while she was fasting, that's when I broke up with my ex who was very toxic. And then that's also the time where I went to church in Brooklyn Tabernacle in New York.
Your friend invited you.
My mom did. Actually, I didn't even want to go. It's so beautiful because God can always teach you something. Yeah. Even when you know that you know, if you think you know everything, there's always something, right? Yeah. It's just like an abundance of learning, and it's fun, but also like, oh my goodness, I don't want to learn anymore, Lord.
Aray ko. Sakit, bro.
Please, nahirapan ako.
I also, when I was not walking in God's, basically in what He wanted me to do, I also felt like the emptiness in the things that I was doing because I was trying to achieve things on my own.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you are, hindi, kaya ko to kasi, ano naman eh, parang, okay na, Christian na, but Christian man ako, but I can do this. Like, I can do this on my own. I can be successful on my own. I can achieve things on my own. Yeah. So not even praying anymore. Not even like,
you don't need to pray because you're gonna get it anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it anyway because I'm gonna work hard. Alam mo yun? Alam ko na to. Parang I'm just gonna work hard, really do this, and then.
And how did that turn out for you?
Of course, it turned out. Didn't turn out. No,
it didn't turn out.
Didn't turn out. What turned out? So yun na nga. Again, like I said, the Lord always finds ways to humble you. When you get too confident about your own things and you forget about like, what are you doing here on this earth? He may not explicitly like bring you down to your knees. Parang He'll let you have your, ano mo yun, sige lang.
That's like, so true.
Discover it. Malalaman mo. So, so yun, hindi naman siya like super like yung up to like being depressed or being in that super dark place. But again, yun na nga.
Yeah.
And it caused so much frustration.
Yeah.
Caused frustration. It caused a lot of anxiety. Yung parang kasi kala mo, kaya ko to. Tapos eto ni, bakit nawala, di ba?
Nakaka-stress.
Nakaka-stress talaga, di ba?
Wow, I just feel like I've been through a lot. Ang dami kong...
I'm just so happy that you are here, girl.
And I didn't sell my soul.
Kaya nga, Jesus took the wheel on you.
Exactly. Before we end this, do you have any like advice that you want to give to the viewers?
Advice? Talaga advice?
Like,
okay.
Siguro yung number one learning mo as a pastor's kid or,
Number one learning, I think you need to have an open communication with your parents.
Yeah.
First and foremost, like you have your communication with God, right?
Right.
But you also have to have that communication with your parents.
That's so hard though.
No,
Was it hard
seriously.
for
And
you?
it's hard for your parents too.
Yeah.
Diba? It's hard for your parents
yeah.
too.
Mhm.
Because this is probably the first time that they're parents. You know what I mean?
Right.
So being the eldest,
Mhm.
diba? I told my mom, do you want me to lie to you? Or do you want me to just tell you?
Mm.
So parang I also had to express that this is how I'm feeling, but I don't want to lie to you. But this is what's going on. So what I'm saying, kaya nga sabi nga nila, ako yung daughter that caused the most heartache sa mom ko. But again, I think
Panganay kasi.
panganay I mean, I think my sisters are equally strong. I mean, in their own ways. But iba yung pinagdaanan nung nanay ko sa akin.
Yeah.
So yun, keep an open communication with your parents. Like, of course, to God first, but then your parents. They should know, but if your parents aren't ready, pray for your parents.
Amen.
Diba?
Yeah.
Pray for your parents.
God will talk to them for you.
Yeah, God will talk to them. If you can't talk to them, if you can't express things to them, the Lord will make a way for them to understand. So that's one. Number two, yes, people are watching. But again, who are you serving? Are you serving the people? Are you serving God?
Yeah.
Diba? I'm not saying disregard people.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that focus on yourself. Like if you want to become a better person, a better Christian, a better follower,
humble yourself.
Yeah, humble yourself and just be, just have that just nurture that relationship with God. Number 3, again, don't confine yourself to, maybe this is a very contentious thing to say, but don't confine yourself to the ministry within the 4 walls of the church, because your ministry can also be the non-traditional way of ministering. Like for example, your dad who dresses up as Santa Claus, diba? to pass out gospel tracts or to pass out like goodies to kids. Santa Claus, it's like, diba, hindi siya real, but there he is, diba? So again, when we think about the ministry, go beyond what is expected. Think where you can play in the gap.
Yeah.
What is the gap? Why aren't people coming to church? Diba? Where's the gap? Then meet the people where they are.
What do you think church is for? Like, what is the importance of church in the Christian community?
Church is it's a community, right? Exactly. It's a community. It's a place where people come, not just to worship together, to fellowship, but to also grow as a person. You know what I mean? As a person, as an individual.
Yeah.
The church shouldn't just be, yes, it is a place of worship. It is very sacred, but it should also be very open.
Yeah.
It should be open to anybody, of people of all different walks of life. And when they go into church, they shouldn't feel judged.
Amen.
Alam mo yun? Yung parang pagpasok mo palang,
I know.
anong ginagawa nito dito?
It's so ironic because that's what people see church as, right? Right when they walk, that they're so worried.
Yeah,
that they're
so
not
worried.
good enough to be in
Oh,
that.
parang masyado bang loud yung clothing ko, masyado bang So again, the church should be a welcoming space.
Because that's where we
everyone.
go. That's the hospital for our spirit.
Yeah, diba?
Yeah, you go to the hospital because you need something fixed.
Yes.
Like nai-ER ka kasi putol yung kamay mo or something.
Right,
you know. So yeah, I think that's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Tita Mae, for
Thanks,
being
Debbie.
here. I had so much fun.
I'm so blessed by your life and this new ministry that you have.
Thank you. Do you have any Instagram, Facebook
My
promotions?
Wala naman. But my Instagram is like more like private. But if you guys want to order seafood,
Oh, she can cook, by the way.
ayan. So you just follow TICXS. TICXS on Instagram and also on Facebook. There.
All right, guys. Have a blessed day or night or morning or whatever. See you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.